I was in municipal court just yesterday, and it was an arraignment, and what I told the judge is I would like to exercise my right as a citizen to remain silent because, anyway, I'd like to exercise my right as a citizen to remain silent. And he just looked at me and smiled because, he was a grandfatherly type. He was a really nice guy. He just smiled and kind of gave me that look like, oh, do tell. And I knew he wanted me to talk more. Anyway, like Ron White says, I had the right to remain. They gave me the right to remain silent, but I was unable. Anyway, so of course he's expecting that response because usually probably people that say that stuff just keep rambling on. That's probably how you determine the level of mental illness that the judge is dealing with. But anyway, I assure you I'm not. Anyway, I'm glad to submit myself to a test. Just don't lock me down for 72 hours, please. Anyway, I then said, after his pause, smile, and I guess inviting eyes, I said, I also seek protection under the American Disability Act because I don't believe this court is willing or able to protect me from myself and itself during these proceedings. Another big smile from the judge, grandfatherly type. He said something, I can't remember what. If I was the judge and someone told me that, I would have said, well, young man, and I guess I feel young. I would have said, well, young man, if you come before us often enough and close enough in frequency, we'll eventually figure it out. Court's there to help people, right? So that's a perfect response. He didn't say that. But if I was the judge, I would have. So as I can empathize with the judge and me, I hope the judge can empathize also and put himself in my shoes. Anyway, I think I told him, excuse me, Honor, I apologize, but it's not political. I just wanted to tell him I'm not a posse comitatus sovereign citizen constitutionalist. I'm actually a volunteer of this society, like so many of us are. And I actually volunteer for his jurisprudence as a community member as a whole, as well as an individual. Sometimes some of us, resist or do bad things, and we have to be, drugged down the hall and put in the cage. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about basically cooperative, compliant, understanding, logical, discerning citizens who want to hope that society improves. Anyway, so I've decided that if I ask the court for protection under the American Disability Act, they're going to have to ask me, especially since I didn't disclose it, and I don't know if I will disclose it or demonstrate it before the court. But they're going to have to ask me what accommodations they would like me to make for them, and then they have to decide if they're reasonable and prudent, and if they have to be compliant, and am I reasonable and discerning, able to function and meet them halfway. So the American Disabilities Act is about kind of this can't we all get along and just do what's right thing. It's not really about a big court battle or a loophole or anything like that. So anyway, I've had a couple problems with court one time. So I've got like this issue with judges and authority, and this is not my disability. This is that might be called ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, and I don't think I suffer from that. No, I do not. It may look like that because of my actual infirmary, but my infirmary is characterized by impulsivity, possibly blurting out, unintentional profanity, which is usually directed at myself. Like if I say the shit that comes out of my mouth, the S word would be directed as to the subject content that comes from my mouth. It would never be directed at the court system, or Your Honor. That would be a disrespectful and insult. And I imagine I should be sanctioned or found in contempt if I did that. But if it slipped and I directed it at myself, I would hope I would get some understanding. I also might be prone to glib facial expressions, so I could cover myself with a mask, or what we could do is what I'm asking, because the judge is the one that has to make accommodations for me, is he has to show some patience and compassion. I also have word finding ability. I want to tell a story about that problem in court, and allow me to change my word, or the moment to find the proper word. And anyway, so all this basically rounds up because, specifically because I've had specific problems in court. I'd like to go over those real quick. One time, the judge and the prosecutor did not show up to the deadbeat docket. I was being sued for a credit card. I'm the only one that did show up. However, they found judgment against me for not showing up to court, automatic judgment. So it cost me $1,200 to reverse the motion because I was too timid, ignorant, or unable to fight the deadline that was before me. Like, I think I had 2 days before 30 days expired and the world was going to end, and it was going to take a whole nother court at that point. If it could even be done, it could be permanent. So, I bit the bullet and paid the money. Moving on, one time I got a speeding ticket and a seatbelt violation, which I had a note for the doctor on the seatbelt because of this disability, which I informed the court of at the time by name. So the court should have records of it. That this is why I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I had a doctor's note, and they dismissed that. I did pay $100 extra for the speeding ticket, probably a diversion. I can't remember the exact same thing. And I thought everything's hunky-dory until one day I got pulled over in a school zone, got an exclusive seatbelt only ticket, and went to court to try to explain it to the judge. He didn't like me trying to practice what I call Paris Hilton jurisprudence. Okay, I'll explain that in a minute. But bless his heart, he had shoplifters, people driving on suspended, DUIs, guys being brought in cuffs and handcuffs, everything. I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And here's me, little seatbelt ticket. Anyway, I didn't mean it. I apologize. It's probably me, and that's what I've come up. That's why I'm asking for the court's protection, because I think I'm my biggest problem in court, or can be. Or it's a perception of me. If I can change the perception, not a problem. Anyway, I tried to explain to him very quickly with an apology, and he became very angry, and he stared into the computer screen and looked back at me and told me I was wrong, I was found guilty. And this was a court magistrate, a city attorney the first time. It was like a cattle call. You get in line. Anyway, so I told him that it must have got input somehow wrong, because I was actually there and I remembered. And he just got mad at me, like I was making it up. So I told him that I would like to go home and attempt to find the note, and I actually thought he just stared into a blank screen and lied to me, but I'm not accusing him of that. But it's possible. So I kind of implied that I wanted to research this myself and go look for the note. Anyway, he gave me a court date, but then as I was talking to his clerk, he heard me interacting with her. Somehow I was trying to set a court date up too far out for his liking. So it was like, it was less than this court set for me. Anyway, it was 60 days. Anyway, he went nuts. He drugged me up, and he refused to let me arraign myself. He told me I was guilty. I was being ridiculous for $10. I apologized once again to the court, and he yanked me. It's like a little side thing. He had to pull me back to the podium from the desk. So he pulled me back to the podium. And I guess I blurted out, if you feel so strongly about it, why don't you give me jail time? And what I meant was community service. This is my word finding a problem that comes under stress when people are demanding stuff from me. It just leaks out. I was not able. Anyway, so he wouldn't even let me correct myself, nor would he let me arraign. He arraigned me for me, which I guess I'm a volunteer, because I'm always a volunteer, and I'm trying to get this judge who's red in the face and just popped a cork over $10. He gets it $10. Told me to get out of his courtroom. He never wanted to see me again, and to pay the lady at the door $10. Now, I believe if it was legal, he would have reached in his pocket, got out a $10 bill, rolled it up in a ball, and threw it at me. Okay? I really believe that. Red in the face, spitting and chewing. The guy working next to me, prosecutor, I'm assuming, he looked scared and nervous. And I don't know if it's nervous for me. Maybe he thought I was on the edge of contempt for a seatbelt ticket. I have no idea. So I just shut my mouth, paid the $10, and left. But anyway, I am probably as big a problem as anything for myself. So that's basically why I'm asking for accommodations, more of a change of perception from the judge. If he wants to issue me a mask and I feel a glib expression going on, I can cover my face. If I'm allowed to bring in a binky and I feel like myself blurting out, I can put the binky in my mouth. But I'm afraid if I bring a binky and start waving a mask, I'm going to be in big trouble. And then all of a sudden we're going to forget what we're here for, and then we're going to start punishing me for making a mockery of the proceeding and disrespecting the judge. And that's the last thing I want to do. And I also don't want to practice my Paris Hilton jurisprudence. My God, how disrespectful to the city attorney, the young man or young lady who crafts their life, that they're forming their profession. I hope we can turn this into a learning experience for them if I'm just not an idiot. The judge, breaths his heart if he's the guy that arraigned me. He reminded me of the judge in Providence, not the snarling man at municipal court. And by the way, this whole statement about protection under the Disability Act and reserving the right to remain silent, that was prepared for municipal court because I thought I would have to appear before that specific judge again. And, I'm older and wiser now, and I'm not just going to let him spit, scream at me, and intimidate me. I also really do have this, and it's doctor approved, and I'll say his name. But in the public forum, I'm not disclosing my disability, nor do I believe I have to demonstrate the skill for the court. If the judge needs an eyes-only envelope with the name of it, plus the characteristics like impulsivity, could blurt out uncontrollable facial expressions. Tourette syndrome. Are you going to find a guy in contempt for spitting and cussing? It's cousin to the Tourette syndrome. I'm saying that. I've said a whole lot, and if you know almost anything about anything, and you watched this whole video and paid attention, you should know exactly what I'm talking about. And if the court kept any kind of records at all, you should be able to trace it right back. But I have a feeling they just glazed over that. And then rather than accepting my dismissal by the city attorney, someone reviewed it later and said, I'm not going to do this because they don't have the note in front of them. They didn't know why he did it, and they just undid what he did. And I don't know why the court records are inaccurate from what really happened. But it's got to be me. It's got to be me. Look at this. Please don't throw me in jail. Please don't give me a 72-hour lockdown. And give me a fair trial and judge me. My defense is going to be, first off, cop don't show, ask for dismissal. All right? Second defense is going to be entrapment. Third defense is going to be strange jurisdictional things. Nobody's going to listen to anything because they're just going to feel I need to be punished. And then when you throw the hammer at me, we'll go into the punishment phase, which I'm going to ask for an alternative to paying money. I don't have any. I won't have any. I haven't worked in 5 years. Any money I made in the last 12 years, I've given to the poor. I live my life without assumptions, and I follow precepts. And if we want to go down all this hairy path for $120 plus court cost, I'm willing. But, how my pappy taught me, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And I hope the court sees this and just dismisses that based on that. Otherwise, throw the judicial hammer at my head, drag me through the mud, shame me in public. I will comply to anything you ask. I won't even assume to proclaim I'll be joyous in this activity. But anyway, that's basically it in a nutshell. And I have no idea if I can get the court to watch a 15-minute video. I really doubt it. Maybe. So I'm going to save it and see. Anyway, if it pleases the court, thank you for listening to me. This is probably a lot better than a question and answer session and some what the court would perceive as a verbal battle or emotional attitude, when it's just basically logical thinking, discernment, bad experience from the past, and a major misunderstanding. So anyway, I'm a good citizen. I don't do anything, and I don't know why he didn't let me off with a total warning. I don't think he was actually maybe capable of it, but I believe that this court and the prosecuting attorney and even the officer, if he's here now, can all get their heads together and just dismiss it. Otherwise, the officer's not here. I'm asking for immediate dismissal because they didn't show up. I was ready to go and ready to face the music. Anyway, I guess if it pleases the court, Paris Hilton rest.